that I think is, for me, a key question. What is the future of organizing around our individual and collective concerns? And so after we talk about those things that are most important to us, how do we get from where we are in this moment, right, to that vision? Is that clear? Did I do that? What you all expect? Okay, so these are sort of the things that we want to think about. And there are people in the room who have lived seasoned Black queer lives, who have a lot to say from their own experience. There are young people here who have a lot to say from their experience, their own experience, and their experiences that other people who are older have not experienced in this moment. There are people here who have studied the issue for quite a long time, and others who are just here to listen. And so, and everyone is welcome. So with that, I'm going to ask, just to open this up, to ask folks to meditate on one of those questions. The first one, of course, is what your world looks like now. And that's a good place to begin. What does your world look like at this moment? In October of 2024, you can just raise your hand, and Kevin's got a mic, Glenn's got a mic. Don't let me do like in class. Thank you. If you'd like to say your name, please say your name. If not, don't. Or make up a name. Like your club name. My club name. Some of y'all know my club name.
Good evening. Ooh, loud. My name is Ziza. I'm loving that shirt. Just want to say that. Awesome. I guess my club name would be Negress of Saturn. It's also the name of my business. In terms of what does the world look like now? I mean, my experience of being a Black, gender-ambiguous, androgynous woman is not confined to the USA. So, I was a little confused by the framing. I wasn't clear on, are we talking about the nature of the world? Because globalization blurs the lines of,
your world.
Yeah, so for me, I'm worried about chronic health issues. I'm worried about the emails I get stating that 78-year-old and 68-year-old people are going missing in Queens, in Brooklyn, in Long Island. I'm like, yo. I'm worried about Big Pharma, the medical industrial complex. They don't want to actually give you support in terms of preventative care, but they're really eager and excited to wait until you need insulin. Right? I'm worried about our food system and how people think taking care of themselves is masking dysfunction. So you'll spend $200, $300 on a bust-down wig, but we're not talking about the hyperpigmentation. I think that's insulin resistance. I think that's something we should talk about. We're not talking about all of the chemicals. We are in a chemical warfare, from the water to the air, the food. Every time you look, there's something we didn't know, and it's like, can I be paranoid about being human? Because my environment seems to hate me. Or there are institutions that seem to be intent upon annihilating humans and our will to live. And I love this notion of democracy, but I personally think that we're being galvanized into a space of diversion, because we really should be asking existential questions. Because if anybody has a womb or is actually, has a decent, sperm count, we should be asking, why would I bring a life into this world? Is this earth hospitable for life? And if it's not, what can we do while we're alive?
Thank you. Others? So we're beginning with an easy question, right? Existence, why bother? And also about health, environment, the world. So when we ask that question about what does your world look like, your answer is to think about the entire planet, not even a nation state.
Because personal is political. Life is existential, right? It's not just blue or red, elephant, or donkey. Totally. Hi again. Okay, I'm gonna try and make it brief because I feel like maybe I'm not supposed to be on the mic. I think that there needs to be a certain kind of conversation around how we might be compromised, right? Like cognitive dissonance. We want certain things, but the very systems that allow for us to live the lives we believe that we are deserving of compromise us. Or fret. It's not really a conversation, is what it is, right? We need to grapple with that. I think love is beautiful. What did I just write? Love is not a luxury, love is a responsibility. And when I say that, I'm like, if we love something, somebody said something about being truthful. Like, truth is not something that you just pontificate. We, in a way, I'd like to think that we should become embodied legislations of what we think is right and what is wrong. We externalize accountability. We project responsibility. It's like we're these, pickaninny who are still kind of on the plantation, in the sharecropping spaces, and massa, I want more than chitlins. Like, that's what I feel in the psychological rhetoric sometimes of what we're talking about. Am I saying it's not valid? Absolutely. My grandmother came from North Carolina. She was a sharecropper, right? My father's from Lagos, Nigeria. He was a hustler. He did some grimy stuff, right? Everybody's in survival mode. When do we check out of that and ask, what is the larger cosmic narrative? We talk about mythology. We got Marvel movies. You got Lord of the Rings. You got Wheel of Time. What is the metaphysical, alchemical conversation that's happening above our heads? Can we tap into that narrative? Can we distill, who am I? What is my archetype? How am I embodying light and dark? How does the force work through me? The victimology will be supported by the very institutions that will indoctrinate you as you seek to become self-emancipated. They have no vested interest in our liberation. You can be a doctor, you can be a student, but liberation will not happen within the walls of this white man's ivory tower. Never ever will it. It'll continuously mutate and evolve. And then lastly, I'll say, in terms of somebody saying the fire, I think you said something about fire. Octavia Butler, I think, said this, in order to, it's about the phoenix, right? In order for the phoenix to rise, first it must burn. Right, I titled that when I ran away to Argentina at 20 on my back. And I'll say, in the compost, our ashes can be divinely fertile. But we're resisting evolution, the denial. We're resisting making that jump, that evolutionary jump. And we're wallowing like in petri dishes, not understanding what we are. It's getting kind of old, the story. Traumas everywhere. Palestine, Africa, Haiti. The whole fucking planet is on fire. Excuse me, God. Right? What makes black and queer so unique? This essentialism, this entitlement, and my suffering is so worthy of attention. It's not interesting. We need to lock our understandings of how we are, as a species, we are under attack. Annihilation is on all fronts. You picking and choosing. It's like we had a buffet. I'm only gonna say the tacos is nasty. Everything that's being served is poisoned, but we still want to eat. Thank you. Okay, let's stand up so we can see each other. So my thoughts in regards to your question, I think, so I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, I went to Catholic school, but I don't really know about the Bible, but I do think there's a saying about when two or more are gathered, right? Yeah, so about that, we need to normalize uncomfortable conversations. Just for example, I was on the train on my way here. I had to return something to Amazon. So I had to get on the train, and then there was this guy who was it's rush hour, and I see this guy, and his side profile looks like Putin. I mean, it looked like Putin. I was like, I know it's not a mask, I don't think, right? So I decided to just look at the woman next to me. She was on her phone watching a video, and I was like, hey, can I ask you a question? Does that look like Putin? Things like that. I mean, I treat people in the world like they're my neighbors. I don't know you, I don't need to know you. I'll probably never ever see you again. I should add that I run into a lot of people 2 or 3 times on the trains. It's really fucking weird. But my point is, just ask uncomfortable conversations. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. When I was in a group home back in Long Island, this woman, Janet Swanson, she would always be like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I must have been 16, 17. That's always in the back of my mind. You can have any kind of conversation. You can say the most grimy, dirty things. It's how you say it, right? So I think that's one thing. And then the other thing, we need to be curious, right? So if I'm dealing with inflation, if I got bonus, which I got, right? But if we have issues, what might somebody else be dealing with? Right? I think sometimes our society has us believe that our experiences are so unique, like nobody else can relate. Like you are the victim of like your own reality. And then you realize a lot of our issues are systemic. And maybe the manifestation is unique, right? Because we live intersectional lives, right? No one is a monolith. So maybe the ways in which we experience it and the interpretation, the narratives we create about it based on our internal worlds, right? Our lineage, our histories, the things that are in our sort of cognitive algorithm inform how we experience these things. But we're all having different iterations of the same systemic sort of oppressive tools, right? So we're not unique, we're all divine, and we can choose how to embody that. What I want to say lastly is identity. Back to, what's your name? Solomon? That's a beautiful name, biblical and whatnot. So, I am perimenopausal. I like to say that because it's something we don't talk about. I'm only 35. And what I realized at this ripe age is that identity doesn't track. It doesn't track. It's a good slogan, it's a good brand vehicle. It really doesn't hold water because I stay thirsty. So what I've realized at this age is frequency, ideology. What are you about? How do you embody it? Is there consistency? You just talking because I don't see you walking. And that comes with discernment and boundaries and also clarity around expectation. It's not just about boundaries. Because sometimes we set ourselves up for failure by expecting things from people who we know have no iota to follow through with that. Like you don't have it in a budget. Like you just don't. So, and that's self-responsibility. We have to be honest with ourselves. Am I lying to myself when I'm walking around feeling like the world's hurting me? That was a choice I made. But did I tell myself, am I being honest about this? And literally, it's the little conversations. It's me saying stuff that could be a little uncomfortable right here. That I'm like, well, I hope somebody thinks about this later. Also, I have a car. So, necklaceofsaturn.com is our website. So I would love to give you folks my card. There's some in the back. Because I think community, conversation, one-to-one, we don't need movements, guys. We're people, we do things every day. Thank you.
I don't care what they say. We gon' get free today. I don't care what they say. She and he wanna be free. Just gotta elevate how we think and see. We all get to make the choice to conform or not. Everything ain't life or death. But when you're traumatized, you don't know the difference. It's the metaphysical shackles that we have to start picking at them locks. I'm telling you, we gon' get free. It's not a promise. It's a guarantee.